was sent to during his high school years. We are joined by Senator James Lankford, Republican of Oklahoma. The junior senator won the Senate seat held by Senator Tom Coburn back in 2014. Senator, first of all, any stories or reflections or interactions you can share with us from your day with the new president?
Oh, it was an amazing day to be able to just watch the transition of power. Y'all talked about it all day long today. It's just as overwhelming when you're actually sitting there and watching it straight up noon. The swearing in of a new president and understanding at the White House, every desk is changing right now. Every office is changing. Every embassy around the world is changing the pictures on the wall as the entire United States government makes a shift just like that at noon. So it's a remarkable and very humbling experience to be able to watch up close.
What did you make with the tone, tenor, and content of the president's speech?
I thought it was very Trump-like as you go through the speech. It sounded a lot like him. It didn't sound like any other speech I've ever heard for any inauguration or read about in any inauguration. The first half of it was basically, hey, there's a new sheriff in town, and the people of the United States are now going to run this town. And then the second half of his speech was really all about unity, talking about we all bleed the same blood. We all have the same patriotism that unites all of us, even in our diversity. So you got more of the soaring rhetoric at the end, but at the beginning of it, he planted a stake and said, time to make some changes.
And if I live in Tulsa or Oklahoma City or Miami, Oklahoma, what does it mean to me that the president says the people are now in charge? How is my life going to change?
You know what? We'll see that in the days ahead. By the way, first let me say to you, I'm impressed that you actually know how to pronounce Miami, Oklahoma.
I've been to Pitcher and Commerce. I used to work out there, yeah.
Come on, yeah. And then the second part of this is I think every person is listening to their president saying, I didn't feel like I was included in government, whether I'm in an inner city neighborhood and I feel like no one's listening to me, or whether I'm in an open country rural area and feel like I'm not listening to me. I've been trying to get a job and I feel like I can't get a job. They feel like at this point, I hope, someone's listening to them. The action on the backside of it is every agency of the federal government has to re-engage in not putting people in line and saying you're going to have to wait in line to be able to get an answer, but to figure out how to get answers to people and to help get this turned around. The focus really seemed to be on getting America working again.
And how about you as a Midwesterner, the Republican Party you come from, are you prepared for that to depart from whatever the party organization it is this president will represent and morph into?
No, I don't think there's any question. You talk to most Republicans, it's not about the party line. It's about what's right and what's best for the present and for the future. The challenge always for Republicans is asking the what-if question. If we do this, then what happens next? And so that will be the challenge even through this conversation about legislation. There's a lot of things that may seem good at that moment and say, sure, dole out, do this, build that. You got to ask the then question. How do we sustain that? How do we keep that going? How do we pay for that? How does that affect our children and our future? So I think we can do both, but I think we need to aggressively do both. One of the strongest lines I think that President Trump gave was to say the time for politicians just talking about things and not getting them done has ended. And I hope that he can continue to press and to say, okay, we've debated this for 3 days now. Let's get into resolution. Let's get it solved. The American people want to actually see resolution rather than just conversation in D.C.
Senator James Lankford, Republican, Oklahoma, thank you very much for making time with us on this Inauguration Day.
You bet. Glad to be able to do it with you.
Let's go back to Nicole Wallace in Washington.